Welcome, everyone, to Taxing Poetic. My name is Tim Howe from Synexus, and I'm your co-host along with...
Jenny Carter. I'm your other co-host.
Awesome, and we're here with JB, our producer.
How's it going?
Awesome, dude. And we are going to be talking about states in our region series, which are sometimes hot and sometimes cold. These states include Florida, Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, Delaware, West Virginia, and the Great District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. Not technically a state.
And JB, can you real quick remind our audience how you come up with these regions for these states? Because for Florida to be here is kind of funny.
Yes, I did a list of regions of the United States, and then they broke them down. This one on the old Wikipedia is called South Atlantic, which does kind of make sense, I guess. Okay. You know, Delaware, Florida.
Yeah, just reminding the audience that we do not come up with these groupings. So if we were, we'd probably do them by football conference, correct?
Yes.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Like, you're like, okay, well, hey, they just kind of followed the eastern seaboard all the way down like I-95 from Delaware, but they just happened to skip through Georgia. Like, forget Georgia's even on the coast. Right. They just went from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and we're going to go to Florida.
Georgia is technically on this list. We just talk about Georgia so much. We're going to do a Georgia.
Oh, okay.
I skipped it, so that's why it seems even weirder. Because we talk about Georgia all the time. We can do a Georgia specific podcast, no problem. So I was just trying to give the other states.
Okay. Can you edit Wikipedia yourself to take Georgia out of this group?
I should. It's to be like, listen, on Taxing Poetic, Georgia wasn't on this.
Correct.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yes. All right.
So Jenny, you going to hook us up with a haiku?
Yes. Okay. So we have a listener named Julie who sent in this haiku. And it's not necessarily state specific, but since we are in our second season of Taxing Poetic and it's the beginning of a new year, I thought it was very appropriate. Are you ready?
Awesome.
New year, same-ish you. No need for a new version. You're not an iPhone. However,
well played, Julie.
Thank you, Julie, for sending this in. I love it. However, I will say this does not apply necessarily to any of the states we're going to talk about, because some of you do need a new version, correct?
100%.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Florida.
Yeah, states.
Florida, you need to be a better version of you.
Yes. What is our motto? States be better.
100%.
Yeah.
States need to be better.
But to all you listeners, though, you people out there, you don't need a new version of yourself.
No.
Yeah, just
Perfect,
the states.
just how you are.
Yes. So thank you, Julie. So, Tim, which state should we start with?
Oh, we got to start with Florida.
Okay.
Just come out of the gate swinging.
Yes, I know.
We can't.
Oh, we got to do our pop quiz.
What do we start with every time?
Pop quiz,
we were ready to jump in. And yes.
JB popping in. All right, so we got our pop quiz coming up from Donna McMurray, our off-show.
She's our researcher.
Off-show research brain.
Gal Friday.
Trust.
Yes,
there we go.
I know. Makes the show happen.
There you go.
She does all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm probably breaking a rule, but last time Jenny won 2-1.
Correct.
So I'm gonna try to keep a season running tally. So it's close.
Hey, at least she's not going to get skunked this season.
Yes,
she's going to come away with a win.
Okay, so Jenny is up 2-1 going into this episode.
Love it.
Okay, this question is for Tim. Which state taxes commercial rental?
Florida.
100%
Florida.
I actually knew that one too. Dang it.
Oh.
So that's weird? That's
it is weird.
Very weird.
It was on our top 10, right?
Yep.
Our top 10 weird sales tax episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't like that.
A lot of states don't. I mean, every state doesn't tax real property rentals. I mean, you got to think, like, if you go and rent a apartment, you're not paying tax on that, right? Well, same thing. Like, if you're paying commercial rent for an office space, you would not expect to pay sales tax. Well, guess what? Not the case in Florida.
Yeah.
Florida, be better.
Be better.
Be better.
Yep. You do need a new version of yourself. Okay, so now it's my turn.
All right, Jenny. Which state has no local sales tax?
Oh, no local sales tax. Let's do... Well, this is kind of a trick question. Oh, no, maybe not. Maryland.
Maryland is
yes.
right. Well, how'd you get there?
Delaware's on this list, but they don't have sales tax. They have gross receipts tax. So I almost said Delaware, but then I went, okay.
Well, what about Washington, D.C.?
Well, but they're not a state.
They don't have a local municipality.
So how
they're all their own municipality.
Right.
That's
Donna,
true.
I throw a challenge flag.
No, Tim, you can't throw a challenge flag every time I get one right. It's not the way this works.
I don't know. The previous episode, I think you all need to go and review it. All right, JB.
All right, Tim. Which state collects on the bracket system?
That would be Florida. Florida. Excuse me.
Maryland.
Oh no, Florida used to have brackets. That's right.
That's
Maryland's the
right.
only one that's left. Maryland and I think it's Pennsylvania is the other one.
We
with
talked
brackets.
about that on the top 10 episode, the bracket system. I would have
Bracket
said
system
Florida
is
too if it makes you
worst.
feel better. It is the worst.
It doesn't make any sense,
I know.
a mess.
Yeah. It's not like March Madness. It's much, much worse.
which I love.
I know. We all do.
All right, Jenny.
Yes.
Which state has local B&O taxes, business and occupation?
Oh, local B&O would be West Virginia.
It's all right here on our fact sheet.
Oh, man.
I knew it
Cheaty
anyway.
McCheaterson.
Whatever.
Wow.
I file West Virginia taxes all the time. Again, Tim, you cannot get upset every time I get one right.
I'm not.
Just because you were season 1 winner doesn't mean you're going to win this year.
please.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. Which state does not have a sales tax?
Delaware.
Oh, my goodness.
Say, oh, boo-hoo.
Donna,
Right
I
back
knew
at
that
you.
one. Oh,
Yeah.
come
Yeah, I was
on.
going to say, JB is sales tax expert now.
All right. And Jenny, which of these states have separate food, beverage, meals, and hospitality taxes on prepared food?
Oh, and prepared food.
Yes,
Oh,
and
goodness.
I'm going to give you a hint just because this is there is 4.
Okay. Well, I know North Carolina has separate F&B tax.
That is 1, correct.
I know South Carolina does.
That is 2, correct.
I'm going to say, oh yeah, I know Virginia does.
That is 3, correct. Does she have the 4th one?
West Virginia.
Oh,
Yay!
no.
What is it?
I want to do so bad, but no, it is Florida.
Really?
Yep, Panama City.
Oh,
Yeah.
Panama
And-
City.
Well, and there's a couple others, but yeah.
I did forget. Darn it. Oh,
Yeah.
do I get 3/4 of
3
a
out of
point?
4. I'm going to give you a half a point.
Thank you.
Tim is outraged.
That was a tough question. Would you have gotten all 4 of those?
Yep.
Oh, whatever.
Man, that was tough. 4-part
I
answer.
know.
I mean,
Do we have a sixth question?
we have a lot of tights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6.
Was it really?
All right, hold on.
I know, I
Which
feel like
state?
Tim only got
Commercial
2.
states. Commercial rental. That was you.
Yep.
Which state collects on the bracket system?
That was me.
And which one does not have a sales tax?
Oh yeah. I did. get
Which
through.
one does not have a sales tax?
There you
And
go.
yeah.
That's just
So we ended in a tie. Nice.
Well, I'm just doing
Oh, you're giving
season
Jenny-
long, so
you're giving
4.5 to 3. Jenny is in the lead.
I'm going to start typing my letter now.
Go ahead and bleep that out.
I
or
know. Can you
Beep.
say that on Taxing Poetic?
I can. Beep.
Beep, beep, beep.
All right.
Tim does
So-
not like to lose, is what I'm
We
worried.
should
Oh, no,
record.
I'm good
we
with
should
losing.
record Tim saying the word beep, and I'll put that instead of the swear. I'm gonna try it.
Beep.
I'm trying it.
Love it.
Okay, so should we go back to Florida? Speaking of beep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're getting into the region series, might as well go ahead and hit on each one of the individual states, right? So, yeah, Florida. Gotta love them.
What is our big problem with Florida? What is your main complaint?
I wouldn't say there's a main one. There's probably like 7.
Okay.
But I mean, one of the originals is, I mean, we've talked about it extensively, and it was part of the quiz. The whole commercial rent, and the fact that there's sales tax on commercial rent, it creates such a mess. I mean, there's so many people or I say people, there's so many companies, excuse me, that own property and own like out parcels that will rent these out parcels to smaller businesses, and they'll just choose. They'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm constantly under audit. Florida's never brought it up. I'm not going to collect the sales tax on the commercial rent. It's your responsibility to do it. It's going to be a use tax issue. And it's really difficult for some of these smaller companies to self-administer that use tax on their commercial rent. I mean, and understand the components of it, right? So we're typically brought in after the fact, after an auditor's already picked these folks up and looked at their lease and seen everything and said, hey, guess what? You now owe like $150,000 in back use tax because you were never charged sales tax by the, landlord, and you have CAM and, all these other things that are actually included in CAM being common area maintenance fees, and there's a bunch of other fees that are considered to be a necessary part of the rent, and it just makes it very convoluted and very difficult for middle market taxpayers. I'd say, mid-sized companies and even small businesses to understand what the impact will be.
What are the tax implications for meth houses, for meth production?
I don't know.
For sales tax on those sales.
For check with the people who live in Citrus County, Florida.
That's where I'm from, by the way. So, but that is obviously something Florida has not tackled yet.
I mean, one of the other big problems that I have there is like the whole max tax, the single article surtax that's in Florida.
Yes.
It's a tax basically it's a local. So if you have a local tax in Florida, it's maxed out at the first $5,000 of tangible personal property or rental of tangible personal property, sale of tangible personal property. That max rule doesn't apply to like commercial rent and a couple of other things. So you have to know that. But it just makes calculations of tax in Florida really interesting, because what is a single article? Like what does Florida define as a single article? And you could order like 5 different pieces of equipment that assemble together to make one big unit. And you could order them on 5 different invoices. And you could technically make the argument to the state that, hey, if this was a $500,000 piece of equipment, I only have to owe tax on the first $5,000 of that piece of equipment. But how are you going to track that over 5 separate invoices? It makes, from a system implementation and calculation standpoint, it makes it very difficult.
Feels like there'd be like a lot of accidental tax fraud.
Dude, there's a lot of accidental over remittances. There's also a ton of people who are just like, forget it. I'm just going to pay the state rate and I'm done. Hey, Florida, come chase me.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah. And yeah, it also makes audits very, very interesting in Florida.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. One of our favorite states, as always. Well,
Yeah.
should we work our way up I-95 and skip Georgia, obviously?
Obviously.
Per Wikipedia.
Yep.
Or JB's Wikipedia.
Per me.
Let's
Yeah.
go to South Carolina. And your other favorite state. You love to talk about manufacturing in South Carolina. So
It's just because their
what's your-
manufacturing rules are so baked. Like, I mean, if you actually read their law and read how the deal, I mean, this is actually something in the, part of the law from the DOR. It says it has to go in and define what is actually a piece of machinery, right? What is considered to be a machine? And they have to give you like 15 different examples of what a machine is. And it talks about, well, is it necessary and integral to the manufacturing process? Is it directly used in the manufacturing process? It's like they took 5 different parts of the different types of manufacturing law, which we have integrated plant theory, which means anything that's necessary and integral to manufacturing would qualify as an exemption. Or they take the direct use law, which a state like Indiana has, and they incorporated direct use stuff. So it's this amalgamation of just all these different tax law components, and it makes it very, very convoluted and very frustrating. It gives the state a lot of free reign to come in and say, you know what, that doesn't qualify, or I'm going to say that qualifies.
Because direct use is the least permissive or the least exempt friendly, and then
That's right.
integrated plant theory is the most tax exempt friendly because it's saying, like you say, anything used in the production process and the manufacturing process can possibly be tax exempt.
That's exactly
so. If you have a mixture of the two, that would obviously make it confusing
and contradictory, right?
and contradictory.
Yes,
it's a great word.
So it's not it's not a very friendly law, and I'm not a big fan. And I've had to have South Carolina auditors explain it to me, and they usually look at me like they're glazed over like a donut.
Okay.
Don't know.
So right now, whereas we're moving north, everyone needs to be better, is what we're saying. Yeah. Florida, South Carolina, be better.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay, so who's next? North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so let's see. Do we need North Carolina to be better? What do you think about that, Tim? SST trouble.
You know what? My biggest complaint with North Carolina is they just came up with this repair, remodel and maintenance type tax, like the definition of, if you're doing something to real property that, you have to basically, if you're a contractor or if you're someone who comes in and does repair or maintenance services or remodel activities on an existing piece of real property, you have to charge tax on all of that. You can buy your materials exempt, but you have to collect tax from your customer. That's very difficult for a contractor.
Now,
but they also say, hey, if it's a capital improvement project, get your customer to fill out this 589 CI capital improvement project form, and guess what? We'll exempt it from sales tax. And
you talking about the TPP purchase or their services too?
Their TPP purchase.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if you're using a subcontractor, like if a contractor is using a sub, they can get a 589 form and pass that on to their sub, and the sub won't charge them tax for the work that they do. And it's just kind of a down the chain thing. But it's just this whole idea, like, can't we just every state just treat contractors as the end consumers and then let them pay tax on the cost basis of the materials, and then they don't have to collect tax from anyone?
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Can't we all just treat contractors the same?
It would be really, really nice.
It would be
unfortunately,
nice.
Nope.
That's why we're going to do a whole episode just on contract.
Yes, we are. Stay tuned for that one.
Absolutely.
You'll get to listen to Tim Tax Poetic on that for a long time.
Very complicated
unfortunately.
form of sales tax.
Yes, it is. All right. Anything else about North Carolina before we move north? Or
No.
did you touch on the SST trouble? I don't
Well,
think you did.
I mean, it's just not to pick on the SST, but North Carolina being a member state of SST, like as part of the streamlined sales tax, like you can't come up with a new form of tax, and North Carolina did. They have this manufacturer's privilege tax. It's like a 1% tax, and the SST got like really pissed off about it, and North Carolina was just kind of like, fine, come after us, kick us out, do whatever you want. And it just makes it very interesting, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as a manufacturer in North Carolina, the manufacturer privilege tax is just another complication that you can layer on to doing business and conducting business in North
So there's no benefit for people in South Carolina to go to North Carolina to do your manufacturing.
No, because you're going to end up
Sucks
paying
there, too.
You're
Like
going to
they're-
end up paying 1% on all your machinery and everything else. Yeah, because it's just as crazy, and now you have this extra tax that's on top.
It's like they're having a terrible manufacturing plan off. Ours is terrible.
Who could be the
But
worst?
ours is even
Ours
worse.
is so bad.
Yeah.
It's not like they're dry cleaning snow tires, like going across the border. Yes. Well, okay. So now we're going to move north. So up to Virginia, they're next. I'm not a geography major, but I think that's true. So how about, first, do we need to talk about the sheep tax? This is something we learned with Donna's research. The sheep tax, every lamb and sheep is 50 cents per sheep.
Wow.
It's just something crazy we
The
learned,
reason
right?
why, and the reason why it was crazy was because they, technically, you're only supposed to put a tax on an animal if you can eat it.
Right.
And Virginia was like, you can eat a sheep,
Yeah.
and we were like, so
I-
Hey, man, it's mutton.
I kind of, they're like, eat sheep. I mean, so prove us. Prove
us
it.
wrong.
Prove us wrong.
They don't believe you're not going to eat the sheep, is what we, I think, came up with. But yes, if you can prove us wrong, somebody tell us. Email us, taxingpoetic@synexustax.com. Do you eat sheep? If so, you might not owe tax, or you might owe tax, right? 50 cents per sheep?
50 cents a sheep sounds high.
You think so?
I don't know.
How many sheep do people own? Yeah.
If you're herding sheep,
I don't know.
anything where the word herd is in front of it.
Yes.
It's also 50 cents a head on each cattle. It's a cattle assessment too. So
But the difference is we eat the cattle, or we
Yeah,
eat,
exactly.
we eat
They were
drink
still
the milk. But it's like we don't eat sheep,
yeah, but you use the sheep's wool.
but we don't eat it.
Right. It was supposed to be. The law was supposed.
Yes.
It's the law technically supposed to be for edible animals.
Edible animals, yes.
Sheep is an edible animal.
I
They
get-
eat sheep in plenty of countries.
No,
I mean,
sure.
if you go
Do
to
we eat
England,
that? But
But do
in
you go to
Virginia,
England and Ireland, you're going to eat mutton. Like, I hate to tell you, you're going to have sheep's pie.
But in the United States proper,
I mean, I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of people that eat sheep here.
Cousin Eddie,
they must. I mean,
eats
Virginia's
squirrel.
like, listen, we need to tax this. People are eating all of our sheep.
Dude, I mean, I've eaten some weird beef in the United States. I've eaten nutria. So have you eaten nutria?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a giant water rat that's in freaking Louisiana.
Oh, I'm not
You
eating any water
are
rats.
disgusting.
I'm serious.
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Dude, it's God's honest truth. Like, look it up. You can actually eat nutria in Louisiana.
Why? Why would you do that though?
Well, because they're trying to find a way to get rid of these things because they're an invasive species now. They like brought them down to do something to like control like snakes or some other
no,
population.
but why do you eat it?
because you hunt it. Like you,
Honestly, it kind of looks like a beaver. It's not as gross.
Well,
as
it's not like in New York City they're eating rats to get rid of the rat problem.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, see, it's not that radish.
It has
Go ahead.
whiskers.
Go
It
ahead and
is a
Google
rat.
nutria.
It is a rat. I'm
It's rat.
sorry.
It's rat adjacent.
Yeah.
are nutria tasty?
Oh,
But
God.
to quote Jeff Goldblum, just because you could
Doesn't mean you should.
Right.
In the family that consists of spiny rats.
Yep.
Oh,
Told you.
made it worse.
Yep.
Doesn't matter. Like, dude, they're tasty.
Do they tax nutria at
I've
50
had-
cents a head
I
in
don't know,
Louisiana?
but guess
Maybe
what?
you
I
should
mean-
look it up.
Fact is, I ain't gonna be knocking on anybody eating sheep.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, apparently
point.
they think it's a great source of revenue if you tax 50 cents per sheep. And
Well, and
I'll be
also-
honest with you. I think why they ended up doing that, even though it was supposed to be on edible animals, like if you're looking at a livestock tax, all livestock's going to be subject to it. Are horses subject to it though?
That's a good question.
anyway, let's get back to something else about Virginia that is also kind of odd. And we touched on this in the quiz, is about meals tax, food and beverage tax. Meals tax is higher than the state rate, and the reason is because they can.
That's exactly it.
And they're the only state to do that, correct?
Spaghetti.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the Homer Simpson answer.
Or
broccoli.
Nutria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So do we don't like that though, do we? Or is that like or does it matter?
I mean, it in all honesty, it creates compliance complexity, which basically makes our job better.
Okay.
So but at the same time, it's not easy administration. And frankly, if I was a customer in Virginia, I'd be quite upset.
Okay.
So no lie. I mean, if I have to go to a fast food place and if I'm just trying to get a cheeseburger and I got to pay double the amount of tax, I have to pay more tax than I would pay at the state rate for prepared food. That kind of pissed me off.
I wonder why that is. I have to do some additional research. Like, it doesn't sound like a sin tax, does it? It sounds more like a...
Yeah, I think they were just like...
It's
just
just like a
the
meals
meals.
tax.
It's
It's
just meals
to
tax.
create tax for local municipalities.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. All right. We're moving north. Moving. Did you see what I did there? Cows moving. All right.
Nice.
So we're going to Maryland. Is that next?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, I guess Washington.
Like
That's
right
true.
there,
Yeah. It's
Yep.
kind of the same. Okay. So we're doing Washington. Oh, Tim, say your favorite saying about Washington, D.C.
No taxation without representation. It's on their freaking license plate.
It is on the license plate.
It's actually taxation without representation, not no taxation without representation.
Well, the technical quote is no taxation without representation, but they just decided to bastardize it.
Do they
Taxation.
mean the same thing? If you
I
don't,
don't-
say no, then it's a wicked different sentence.
It is.
That's what I'm
and
saying.
that's why I'm laughing like at their license plate like it's terrible.
Yeah, so it is a take on, but it's like they are taxed without representation. But the saying is no taxation without representation. So
That's
there's,
right.
yeah,
Got
okay.
it.
So they're being like middle finger,
Sure.
like, yeah. So
Yeah, congratulations. We are taxing you without representation because we're not even
Yes.
a legal state.
yes,
We're
so-
just a common or a district.
They get to vote.
Yeah, they do get to vote.
Come on.
Yeah, the
What else do
District
you
of Columbia.
So okay, what are we going to talk about with Washington D.C. as far as taxation without representation?
Your the taxes that you pay. I think Donna had actually mentioned this about cigarettes and how ridiculous, or was it you, JB, that actually brought up the cigarette tax? It was something about the fact that no matter what your income level is, so yeah, pack of cigarettes in Washington D.C. $5.03 is the current rate of tax on a pack of smokes
Per pack.
per pack.
Yeah. So is this another situation where we're going across the border?
Go to Virginia, get
Yeah.
your cigarettes.
Get
Heck
your-
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally
they come free with just
Jump right across the Potomac.
Exactly. That's what we were talking
get
about.
a jug of milk and here's a carton of cigarettes.
Yes, my Tobacco Road university I went to just let us buy cigarettes on our meal card. So it's like they just give them out places.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Washington D.C. loves their taxation.
That's
on,
a sin tax.
on sins. Yes.
But that's to the max.
I feel like Washington D.C. is not really on my what list. I think it's
Your nasty list?
On my nasty list. I think they're they have 6% state sales tax, 10% food and beverage tax.
I think so.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple. Got a great website. Haven't really had any issues with them. So good job, DC.
Yep.
Okay. So Maryland, speaking of sin taxes, Maryland has a tax on snack food and also a tax on software that they then repealed 6 months later.
Yep.
Which is one of our favorite topics as well.
Yeah, they got hammered
Yeah.
apparently on lobbying efforts because they tried taxing everything with relation to software, and then they were like, maybe we need to reel this back in a little bit.
Yeah, way to
6
go.
months is incredibly. I mean, even to get when
Yeah.
you get something wrong, that is so fast.
It's kind of funny. There's actually a few states in history that have tried that. Like Michigan tried taxing every single service. They just said, we're going to make every service taxable, like legal services, accounting services, dry cleaning services. Everything's going to be taxable. And like a few months after they put it in, people freaked out so hard. They're like, we screwed up. We're sorry about that. We're going to reel it back. Well, Florida did the same thing too.
Yeah, and Maryland, another state, we were just talking earlier, borders the District of Columbia with a lot of federal government contractors, a lot of software companies, right, headquartered around that area. So I'm sure they did have some successful lobbying, obviously, to repeal that tax.
I would guess so.
Yeah, because 6 months is
They
pretty
brought
impressive.
it into the security services.
Yes, yeah, there you go, security services.
Bingo.
Yep, there you go.
Or their snack tax.
Snack tax. I do not like taxes on my snacks. So boo Maryland on that.
There you go.
Okay, so what else we got?
Moving upwards, we got 2 more states going to hit West Virginia and then our good friends in Delaware, which don't really have a tax, but we can talk about their tax on gross receipts. But
Have you seen that meme that's like almost heaven, and then someone's like, oh, that sounds so awesome, I wonder where it is, Hawaii, and then it's like West Virginia. Oh, never mind.
see, I've never seen a meme sing to me though.
Yeah.
Have you seen that meme? And then she busts into song, and I'm like, I haven't really seen a meme
I
that's
guess
actually
she was
sung
like,
to me.
she just really wanted to visually bring you in that she was doing John Denver.
Yeah.
And it sounded exactly like him.
Oh, totally. Just like
If you were
him.
doing John Denver, wouldn't you be like getting high and crashing an airplane?
Oh, God.
Too soon.
Okay, put that on the apology list.
Yes. John Denver.
Yeah. Ouch.
Goodness.
Just saying, man.
Okay, West
I'm just
Virginia.
saying, if I'm reading the meme, I'm singing it in my head. So I'm
Yeah.
just saying, that's kind of funny. People are like, almost heaven. Ooh, that sounds lovely. And then it's, sorry, West Virginia. I need to apologize to you about that. I'm sure you're lovely. I don't
And
know
they
if I've
show
ever
you a
been
picture
there.
of Joe Manchin.
Oh, geez. No, oh my God, Tim, you're 0 for 2 on this one. Okay. The local B&O, we touched on this a little earlier as well. It's the fact that it exists, that they have local B&O taxes, is a little weird. Not too many states do that, right? Like the state of Washington does it.
Yeah, it's basically like if you think about it, all the states got into an alphabetical party, and they decided to let everybody get up into the food line in alphabetical order, and then Washington and West Virginia were left like hanging out, waiting last, and they're like, "So, what's weird about your state?" And Washington's like, "Well, hell, I got local level B&O at the city level," and West Virginia's like, "Damn, that's a good idea. Let's steal it."
And don't you
Next thing you
think-
know, congratulations, they both do, and it's really kind of odd that both of them start with the letter W, and hey, they're the only states that have local level B&O.
And don't you think, and I could be wrong about this, do you think that it would make more sense if West Virginia were more of a travel destination
Right.
to have B&O tax?
Excuse me.
What?
Have you not heard what's that famous resort that's there in West Virginia?
Charlottesville.
I know. I'm like,
That's
almost
in Virginia.
almost heaven. What's that?
No, it's the one that's in White Sulphur Springs. They have a golf tournament there every year. Oh my gosh.
Oh, so you're asking us? Excuse me, you've never heard of, but you have
Greenbrier.
either. Yeah,
The Greenbrier. Remember they've got like a nuclear fallout shelter that's underneath it, and people used to say that it was like an escape for congressional leaders and like the president and stuff. Like that's where they were going to go if there was
I'm not taking vacation there.
Yeah,
Dude, it's
no,
gorgeous. You should go to the Greenbrier. Like,
So-
it's actually like really pretty from what I understand.
JB, I'm glad you're on my side about
Maybe I'll
this.
go.
Yeah, I know. But in general, though, when you think of vacation destination, we are not thinking of West Virginia. No. You could probably do something better, like you tax sparklers in West Virginia, is what I heard. You pay a bunch of royalties on things like rent, on weird things like that. And
Well, the sparklers was weird because everybody does fireworks. That's a thing. But they were like, no, sparklers specifically.
Sparklers are specifically
Like
taxable.
everything
Everybody
else
else
is
is
tax
like,
free.
it's just a sparkler, you weirdo. And they're like, no, it's a firework.
Yeah.
No fun in West Virginia.
No fun, tax everything, so including your food.
So every year, my wife and I go on an anniversary trip to the letter of the year in which we were born. So this will be 7. So that's G. And
Oh, okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F.
Yeah,
G.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Greenbrier.
So
Take her to the Greenbrier.
Greenbrier, West
Dude, I'm
Virginia.
telling you, man.
I mean,
It's not in Greenbrier, West Virginia. It's the Greenbrier
It's a-
Hotel in White Sulphur
That's
Springs,
not
West
bad, and because honestly, it's supposed to be like a place that maybe you would never really go on a vacation. Like it's like because I mean, you'd be like, oh, go to Greece, like
Right.
sure, but like we can just go to Greece.
Right.
Maybe I'll go to Greenbrier.
There you go. All right, we're moving up the map. We are done. Just wow, ripping West Virginia. Sorry, West Virginia.
Actually,
can't
we
wait to
didn't rip it
visit
too
you.
bad.
Oh, okay. Well,
we
we
got
weren't-
to talk about some Greenbrier stuff and,
And
home of golf.
I apologize for my singing. So I think the last one on our list, right, is Delaware.
Our first state.
Yes, it is our first state, and they have no sales tax, but they do have a gross receipts tax.
Yep.
So it also is pertinent to our discussion because we have several clients that meet the threshold in that state and have to pay gross receipts tax.
That's exactly right.
And do they do that, Tim? Is it anything related to like where corporations, that's where all the corporations register, or no, it has nothing to do with that?
In all honesty, I don't know why Delaware enacted that law. I will tell you that one of the craziest things about Delaware is their unclaimed property tax laws, or escheatment laws. They have, and that is specifically because of them having like, back in the day and even currently, like you have Delaware, corporations, everybody sets up a corporation in Delaware because of, favorable tax treatment and blah, blah, blah. Well, the unclaimed property laws and escheatment laws, because a lot of people, corporations, are defined as holders of unclaimed property, and that property then goes to the corporation's home address or where the corporation's headquartered. That would be Delaware. So Delaware does a lot, has the majority of the unclaimed property law, court precedent, everything else through the Delaware Magistrate Court. It's really, really interesting to look at some of the court cases around escheatment and unclaimed property. We won't talk about that too much on this. It's kind of a taboo topic to talk about outside of being an attorney or being an expert on unclaimed property. It'd be good for us for a deep dive. We can have one of our buddies at GBQ, Jeff Monsman, who's an attorney who knows a ton about escheatment, and have him on and talk about it. But yeah, that's the gross receipts tax, though. Just a way for them to generate money, in my mind. I think that's it.
I don't know about you, but I'm an expert on talking about subjects that I'm not an expert on. So
Should we change it to the NOMA?
Nomad?
No,
I mean, they're doing the sales.
Well, look, here's the problem.
Yeah.
You say that you want to get rid of Delaware out of Nomad because they technically have a tax on gross receipts. Well, guess what? New Hampshire technically has a sales tax.
Oh, never mind.
And Alaska has a sales tax as well. As one of our listeners so politely pointed out to us that, oh, hey, you were wrong. Alaska does have sales tax. It's like, well, the state doesn't. It's at the local level.
yeah,
But yes,
the Nomad really applies to state sales tax.
that's right.
Which Delaware does not have. They have a state gross receipts tax, not a sales tax. So, and same with Alaska. They don't have a state sales tax. So we can come up with other acronyms of what are the states that don't have a gross receipt tax? Then that might be like,
That'd be very long.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think it's a good still rule of thumb.
We'll have
the
Donna
Nomad.
do that.
Yes, Donna can do that.
All right, we've got a couple of apologies before we wrap up. Auditors, I am going to cut out that section, but you don't need to know why, but sorry. Citrus County in Florida, Tim suggested they might like to do methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Rats.
Oh, look, if you got a city that's named Homosassa, are you serious? Obviously, that sounds like some crackhead was like, hey, give me some of that Homosassa. Anyway.
Oh, man.
Just my hometown, Tim.
This is during
no big deal.
This
I
is
know.
the apology section.
He's going in hard on
He's
my
doubling
yes.
down. Rats, because we talked about them, eating them a lot, and just for people, I don't know.
We did not talk about eating rats. We talked
did
about
not
eating
talk about eating
nutria.
rats.
And I'm not.
Nutria is not a rat.
I'm not apologizing to rats.
John Denver. Sorry, John Denver. Tim made he died like in 1971. Still was too soon.
Too
Tim
soon.
said. And then West Virginia.
Rocky Mountain High, baby.
West Virginia, the state, seems like we did pick on them more than the other.
You guys picked on them. I actually think West Virginia is a pretty great state. I love you all, West Virginia Mountaineers. Go on, baby.
Well, maybe that was more us.
Yeah.
Somehow Florida. I would go. Oh, Citrus County. Okay, that did get the Florida. All right, those are our apologies. Jenny, want to take us home?
Take us home.
Okay. Yes, just a reminder, if you need any help with any of these issues we brought up today, you can call us at Synexus Tax Solutions or email us at taxingpoetic@synexustax.com. And we would love for you to listen to our other episodes. Just a reminder, you don't need to listen to them in order. And you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube Music. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time on Taxing Poetic.